Welcome back, friends, to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick, and on this channel I talk about cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and economics. In today's video, we have an avalanche of good news for the Avalanche network. Avalanche price hit an incredible milestone of $100 yesterday, and despite the dip today, because Bitcoin is down 5%, so the entire market is dipping, the price on Avalanche has still been incredibly bullish as of late. Additionally, Trader Joe announced that you will now be able to use xJOE, which is a version of their Joe token, as collateral for loans, and additionally, you'll be able to earn a 35% interest rate for lending out that xJOE. In the next piece of news, Abracadabra Money, which is one of the most popular DeFi projects right now, launched farming on the Avalanche network just a few hours ago, and this farm allows you to earn an over 100% interest rate on your stablecoins. So that means you can deposit coins that are pegged to the US dollar, and assuming you trust the stablecoins, you can earn over 100% rate. So essentially you can take profits and then earn 100% on those profits. Not going to find that in any normal bank account. Next up, we have a couple very popular NFT projects that launched on Avalanche over the weekend, and those launches were probably some of the biggest activities that have ever happened on Avalanche in terms of number of transactions. Finally, I'm going to hop away from the Avalanche network for a second to cover some on-chain data from Moonriver, because if you watched my video last week on Avalanche, you remember that before this great run-up that we had, Avalanche on-chain metrics started to go crazy. We saw transactions going up, we saw users going up, and then price followed. Well, I'm seeing similar trends on Moonriver right now, Moonriver being a much smaller layer 1. So I'm going to cover those as well. All right, so with that, let's get into it. First, we have the Avalanche price. Like I mentioned, it crossed $100 for briefly just under an hour. It was sitting over $100. Really incredible, especially for those of us who have been following Avalanche since it was $10, $15 over the summer. Even if you got in when Avalanche did its first run up to the 40s, that is still a solid 2.5x for you. And unfortunately, though, the market depends on Bitcoin. Bitcoin decided to go down today. It's down about 5%, so Avalanche followed, as did pretty much every other coin. But unless some news comes out, I would say, dips are for holding or dips are for buying, right? So I'm not too concerned about this personally. If it goes down another 10% tomorrow, then maybe a little bit more nervous, but as of now, not too nervous about this. That's part of crypto. So next up, let's look at Trader Joe. So Trader Joe, as you might know, is the largest decentralized exchange on Avalanche. And Trader Joe has their native Joe token. So Joe is the token of Trader Joe. And normally the utility of Joe is you can stake Joe on Trader Joe, and in exchange, you receive xJOE tokens. And the way that works is, so right now you would receive 1 xJOE for every 1.1627 Joe. However, constantly there's a 0.05% fee on every trade on Trader Joe, and that's used to buy back Joe on the market and put it back into this pool for Joe stakers. So when you come back here to withdraw your Joe and you give them back your xJOE will actually represent a share of the pool that now has more Joe in it than it did when you deposited your Joe. And that APR comes out to about 29.53% per year. And if all that sounds a bit complicated, just know that essentially you're depositing your Joe, you're earning 29.53% per year, and you now have this funny xJOE token in your wallet. And the logo for xJOE is this pig right here. And the cool thing with this new feature that Trader Joe launched is they actually added some utility for xJOE. So Trader Joe has their lending and borrowing market right here. And you can borrow AVAX, you can borrow ETH, you can borrow BTC, you can borrow stablecoins, you can borrow Link. And you can deposit all these other things as collateral to borrow against. Well, you can now also deposit xJOE as collateral. So you earn 35% interest because you're lending it out. And the rewards on that are 35% right now. And I believe those probably come from the Avalanche Rush program because they're all in AVAX tokens. So you earn 35% on your xJOE in exchange for depositing it here. And then you also have it as collateral. So you could You could borrow some stablecoins against it and do something with those. You could borrow some AVAX and reinvest that. A pretty cool utility for the token, and then even cooler, some of you may figure this out, you're getting 35% here. You're getting 29.5% here. So add those up, 29.5% plus 35, let's say 35.5%, you are getting roughly 65%. Roughly 65% you're getting on Joe tokens, which is pretty nice single-sided on. Honestly, Joe is probably one of the largest DeFi projects, period, at this point. So that's the news on Joe. Pretty big for the Avalanche ecosystem. Next up, we have Abracadabra. And Abracadabra has been around on Ethereum for a while. It's been around on Phantom for a while, but finally, it's available on the Avalanche network. And so you can farm on it here, and you can provide stablecoins, and I'll show you exactly how that works in a second. But you can provide stablecoins, and you'll receive a 109.68% interest rate on those stablecoins in the form of the Spell token. Spell being the native token of Abracadabra. And I've done other videos on Abracadabra, so I won't go into all the details on what it is here. But essentially, think of it as a borrowing platform that also allows you to mint stablecoins. And so I think this is probably the best, safest rate on stablecoins anywhere on the market right now. So if you have a lot of profits sitting around and you aren't sure what to do with them, this is a phenomenal opportunity. And the LP to deposit here, you're just getting from Curve Finance. Curve, again, one of the largest DeFi projects. So you can go to abracadabra.money, go to the farm section, and then click on this LP button right here. And that'll bring you right to the place on Curve where you get this. And in order to get it, you need either MIM, USDT, or USDC. One of those three stablecoins or some combination of them. Once you deposit those here, you'll get LP tokens. Then you can bring them back to Abracadabra, and you can start earning over 100% of your stablecoins. So if you did take profits and you want to just compound them, great place to do it. Next up, let's talk a bit about these NFT projects. So first we have Crabada. Crabada is essentially an Axie Infinity clone. If you're familiar with Axie Infinity, one of the largest play-to-earn games, well, the largest play-to-earn games by virtually every metric. And Crabada is basically the same thing, but with crabs. So you assemble a team of crabs, you can go on missions, and you can earn some tokens. And I think right now the rewards are pretty solid from what I understand because the tokens really pumped in value after the game launched. So NFTs, games, not really this channel's thing, but I wanted to make all of you aware about this because there's a lot of Avalanche holders on this channel. And if you want to get involved with this, you could either invest in the CRA token, that would be the equivalent of AXS on Axie Infinity. You could invest in the in-game currency, which is TUS, and that would be more like SLP from Axie Infinity. Or you could try to play the game and earn some rewards with your team of crabs. Now, unfortunately, right now, the floor on these crabs is very high. I think it's about $1,500 last I checked, and truthfully, I was interested in testing out this game myself just to see how it is, but you need a team of 3 crabs, I think, and I'm not really interested in dropping $5,000 just to test out a game that may or may not be fun or may not earn me money. But if you do your research and you are interested in that and you're interested in breeding the crabs to sell those other crabs as NFTs, then this could be a good opportunity for you. Or perhaps the crabs will go down in value. I'm hoping that short term at least. And the launch for this, by the way, was just crazy. The gas fees on Avalanche hit, I think, probably the highest they've ever been before while this launch was going on. Next up, the other NFT project we had that has really been popular is PartyAnimals.xyz. So Avalanche Party Animals. And the reason I'm sharing this is because they have a cool reflective reward system. So this is a profile picture project. I think probably it's one of the biggest profile picture projects for Avalanche already. And you can see they're kind of going with the Avalanche theme. This guy, Wolfie, is the mascot of Avalanche. And the floor on these is about 2 AVAX right now. But what's very interesting is they have a royalty system where for every sale, 2% is distributed to all the owners. So if you think the project has potential, you think it's going to be a good PFP project, then you buy one and hold it. Then anytime someone else buys or sells one of these NFTs, 2% of the sale is getting distributed out to the community, and there's 10,000. So if you hold one, you'll get 1/10,000th of that. Not very much for one sale, but if there's thousands of sales, that could be quite substantial. And if you did mint one of these, then you also get an additional 3% that goes to you every time one of your original Avalanche party animals, Appas, one of your original Appas is sold. But if you didn't mint, then that won't be as relevant to you. Pretty cool, and I'm excited to see where this project goes. And I think kind of the reason I'm sharing both of these is it speaks to a potential narrative that I might see forming, and that is that NFTs on Avalanche are starting to get attention. Again, that's not the focus of this channel, but I've noticed more and more that NFTs on Avalanche are starting to get attention, and then we had these two major launches over the weekend. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that NFTs on Avalanche are worthwhile? Or if you're an NFTs, is it better to stick to Ethereum, stick to Solana? All right, so now let's hop away from Avalanche for a second and talk a bit about Moonriver. I've talked about Moonriver on this channel before. I did a whole long video on it. But if you're not familiar with Moonriver, it's essentially a Ethereum-compatible Layer 1 that's built on top of the Kusama network, Kusama being the canary network for Polkadot. And the reason I want to talk about Moonriver today real briefly is that we've seen some incredible on-chain activity recently. So you can see here that during its initial launch in September, it had a nice little bump of daily transactions, and it has been kind of stagnant. And then all of a sudden, the past week or two, boom, look at that. Transactions are crazy, hitting almost 500,000, whereas this kind of peak blow off top in September was 137,000. So now it's just absolutely destroying that, up more than 3x. And the price has not really followed. So when it was launched on Binance, it had a really nice pump up to 500. I don't have the price in front of me right now, but it's in the mid to high 300s is where it's been really for the past week or so. So the price has not followed yet, and I also want to show you the unique addresses has started to go parabolic. I don't know exactly what you call this shape right here. It's sort of logarithmic, and then it's exponential. But you can see the total unique addresses was going up slowly, and then all of a sudden, roller coaster up. Right? It's really started to increase. Now it's going up 10,000 a day, whereas before it was going up 500 to 1,000 a day. So I'll probably, if this continues, I'll cover this in more detail, but I really wanted to share that with you guys because if you were considering Moonriver, then I would definitely watch these on-chain metrics because this is the first thing that's going to start to go up if the network is starting to pick up traction. And then sometimes all it takes is one catalyst and the ecosystem can take off. Let me know what you guys think about Moonriver down in the comments. That's all I got for today. Lots of exciting stuff happened. Again, despite price action, manage your risk appropriately, but these sorts of fluctuations are perfectly normal when you're invested in a volatile asset like cryptocurrency. Have a great day, and until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.